4 French drivers at the French Grand Prix trying to win this on the final lap. The 3 wide again, Guillaume down the inside. Guillaume moves across, they're both in front of Milan and Pouget.
But before you know it, we find ourselves here in the very final race of the competition.
And then they see truck racing and they think, this is crazy, you know, these are 5-ton machines, 1,200 horsepower.
Break. Oh, look at that switchback. Oh, he's been mugged and a drift to show off.
I love it. 10.5 minutes gone. Senna Lanson tries to go for the race lead.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Do you want to improve at a quicker pace? Check out GitGudRacing.com. I've coached hundreds of drivers, from real-life racers to sim enthusiasts, who experience rapid improvement after just one session. And while investing in top-notch hardware is great, imagine how much more you can elevate your experience by adding coaching to the mix. My methods are practical, aiming to break down complex concepts into easily digestible bits that are simple to understand. You can find reviews of the sessions I've conducted on the Fiverr link provided in the video description. Let's elevate your racing skills together. Do you want to improve at a quicker pace? Check out the GitGud course. Instead of just understanding concepts, you'll learn how to implement them directly into your driving. What makes it effective is the approach and practical drills. Together, we're gonna focus on breaking down those complex concepts into small digestible bits that are simple to understand. Everything from the course was tested and refined during the years in coaching sessions, so what I ended up with was the ones that I saw were the most effective. Let's elevate your racing skills together.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Chaz Draycott Media, and welcome to round number 16 in Season 5 of the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship, here from the delightful Hockenheim ring. Not quite the Hockenheim ring that it used to be back in the day, but it's certainly a fantastic circuit for racing still these days. My name's Chaz Draycott, delighted to be back in the commentary box once again, and delighted to also have alongside me Ed May once more. Ed, we're coming to the real sharp end now, crunch time at the end of the season, with this being the penultimate round. This is a great place to have it though, isn't it? This is really going to throw the cat amongst the pigeons, this place.
Yes, it really will be. Thank you very much, Chaz. And it is going to be a 1 hour race here at Hockenheim. an area where you can see already just how wide the circuit is, does lend itself to some excellent racing and overtaking opportunities. Those long straights as well, like you said, not as long as they used to be way back when, but they are still long enough to really lend themselves to some great slipstream racing, and meaning that qualifying, which is due to come up in about 5 minutes time, isn't necessarily going to be the be all and end all in terms of where the drivers will finish come the end of the day.
Absolutely, we have 34 cars out there on the circuit at the moment, and speaking of those 34, we'll take a look at where each of them are currently in the standings in the championship. Luke Lucchese currently top of the pile with a pretty considerable lead over Ryan Ottens, who jumps up into second place in the championship. An important bit of drama between Luke Lucchese and Tristan Dinnebrega certainly shook things up at Road America last time out. Troy Dolinschek has dropped to fourth with his absence for a few rounds, but you can see that the form was very much his. Every single round almost that he's been in, he's pretty much won. Luke King, a winner last time out, gets his first podium of the season by taking the top spot as well, actually. Fifth place for him in the championship ahead of Jean Breitenbach, Christopher Radloff, Joe Glass, who got a podium as well, ahead of Matt Hoyland and Paul Cowlishaw. Gianni Terhar and Matthias Pentela complete the 12 drivers on your screen, and Ed May will take it away with the Premier class.
Yeah, thank you very much, Chaz. And Joe Sparrow continues to lead the Premier class despite a poor showing in the races going on, or at least the second race of the evening at Road America. But also joined by his teammate who loses ground to Joe over those two races, both of them losing ground to driver in third place now. Ati Nagel only 14 points shy of Stephen Donnelly in second place. Marcel Breitenbach only 4 points shy of the top three with 2 race victories in the Premier class, showing that he's really making a charge. In fact, his last 3 races he's been second, first and first. Can he continue that fine form tonight to charge up through the order? We shall see. Nick Stubb there in 5th place ahead of Matthew Jones. Hussein Sarkar-Desler with a podium in the final race at Road America moves up into 7th place ahead of Russell Jakes in 8th. Robin Aston there in 9th, with Rob Mackay rounding out the top 10 in the Premier class. James Bostock with 2 podium finishes last time out finds himself in 11th, and a real driver on form 1 to watch, only 1 point back from the top 10. John Lowbrook completes the top 12, you can see on your screen.
Thank you very much, Ed. And in the Evo class, it's Martin Kenyon top at the moment. Barely any points ahead of Archie Craven, though, only 6 between the two of them. And as you've seen, they have shared the spoils in terms of podiums recently. Archie has won 5 out of the last 7 races in class, though. Really on form at the moment. Martin is keeping him honest. And Dennis Collar is on a run of podiums too. Gareth Newton is in 4th place ahead of Danny Weir. He had a duo of podiums in the mid-season. Malo TA started off really well a few rounds ago. He was leading the championship, but unfortunately he's not been around for a couple of rounds now, so we've not seen anything from him and he has not been able to score points. James Howarth next up in 7th. Francois Brandet with a bit of a spotty attendance record, let's say, for this series, but still he did well in the early outset. Graham Matthew next up with Owen Seward completing the top 10. Ashley Brooks in the Corvette with Robin Noel Brown, who took a win not too long ago but has remained in 12th position. But it's not just about the drivers, Ed. We have good teams on our side as well, and it's looking good for RDSA.
Yes, it definitely is. They've got a healthy nearly 300-point advantage over JSD Racing team, and JSD are going to have to look over their shoulder a little bit because Alpha 1 Esports, following a great showing in that second race where it was a 1-2, saw them now close that gap up, and it's just 1 point separating second from third in the team's championship. Barbecue Bread Racing there in 4th, only just ahead of Glasstech Dexterous Racing there in 5th, going to the sort of drivers chasing down those top 5 places. There's Suma GP2, and they're only 1 point actually off of that 5th place team, Glasstech Dexterous, so that's incredibly close between those two teams. Suma GP2 Porsche, they're in 7th ahead of Glasstech Racing, and then the 2 DXT teams, 9th and 10th. Look how close though 9th and 8th are. There's so many fine margins in this team's championship, finally poised as we come into the business end of the season.
Yeah, it's incredible how close it is all the way throughout, considering that they've got so many points as well. You know, you're talking 1,300 points, and there's only one between two of the teams, and there's 5 drivers involved in scoring all of those. It's just crazy how close it is. It's also quite close in some of the incident ratings as well. Another initiative that they've brought into the championship this season to promote clean driving is a reward for such, and it's currently Tristan Dinnebrega that is the cleanest elite racing driver at the moment, with Joe Glass and John Breitenbach second and third. You get trophies all the way down to 5th though, so Luke Lucchese and Luke King will have their efforts rewarded as well. Robin Aston, the cleanest driver on average in the Premier class, ahead of Ati Nagel, and then John Ludbrook. Matthew Jones and Russell Jakes complete the 5 there. And then in the Evo class, it's Dennis Collar, after some really tidy racing at Road America. He's been doing a great job recently. He's ahead of Gareth Newton, Martin Kenyon, Owen Seward, and James Howarth. Now, if we fade to the circuit, you'll have all heard just then, it's gone very quiet. And that's because qualifying is just beginning perfectly on time here, Ed. And the first car that I see popping up on my screen is John Breitenbach in the gorgeous number 272 Porsche. What's this circuit going to be like then for these GT3 cars here tonight, Ed? Because it's not an easy one to get used to, is it? But it's one of those circuits where, because it's been on so many international calendars, you'd expect drivers to have a slight knowledge of the place.
Yeah, they should be pretty familiar with the circuit, knowing obviously the way it will flow, where the overtaking opportunities are, and where, of course, you'll need to be a little bit more careful. Because he's John Breitenbach just, well,
I think he's
having a little
playing
bit
with
of,
the cones.
he's not being too kind to those poor cones. It's not what you like to see, Sean. They're there for a reason, but he's doing his utmost to strike them out of the way. See, though, he is actually going for a longer line as well, because he doesn't get a whole lot of time and too many opportunities either to warm up his tyres. Only 4 laps, this outlap not counting as one of those, so he can use as much of the circuit as he wants to try and get some heat into those tyres. It won't be quite up to temperature on the first lap. It usually takes 1 or 2 quick push laps around here to get the tyres right in the perfect operating window, but it's a good time to see about getting a benchmark time down, one of those sort of a safety net if you do run a little bit wide. There are, of course, the incident points that you could accrue just from track limits, and that does invalidate your lap usually through here and maybe cutting it a bit too finely on the inside, running a bit too wide out of the final corner. All areas where you can have a lap time straight from the board.
Yeah, there's a lot of places here where it can get away from you, especially the right-hander into this sort of final arena section. That was a little bit on the line as well, to be fair. But as you go through the right-hander, you can use all the curb in the world, but we will see drivers dipping the left rear wheel onto the gravel tonight and having an issue through there. Here's Luke Lucchese across the line, championship leader, looking to make it back-to-back titles, of course. Hoping to, anyway. Just looking up and down the order, we've got Martin Kenyon, our Evo Championship leader at the moment. It's looking good as well in terms of the Premier class, isn't it, for this man, Joe Spara. He dominated the season so early on and sort of into the midpoint that even though he's had a little drop in form of late, it's not really down to sort of falling under too much pressure, is it? Because he's got such a substantial lead in the series. He could leave here tonight with one hand on the trophy and be very, very happy with himself because he's done so well early on.
He has done very well, like you say. It's been a little bit of a downturn of form and of fortune for him at this stage. We'll see, though. He's going to be coming around the final bend to start his first flying lap. I'll look as well just to see across all of the other classes as well. A driver to watch is going to inevitably be Martin Kenyon or Archie Craven. They're both on their first flying laps, and with the there's been a big disconnect there for Archie Craven. I think he's still going.
Yeah, it's saying he's still going, but for some reason it's just not rendering him in.
Obviously, with the championship being as close as it is in that Evo class, it's going to be something to really keep our eyes on, isn't it? That battle between the two cars. A very similar footprint, the Audi and the Lamborghini. And it is the Lamborghini of Martin Kenyon who comes out on top for the moment. And he actually found himself really nearly the pick of the bunch. He's now just in behind Luke Lucchese and Ryan Ottens, but still good enough for third place. That's a very respectable effort by Martin Kenyon. Not miles away from potentially challenging the likes of, Atti Nagel, and you can see moment Marcel Breitenbach, who's a real driver on form, isn't he? 3 podiums in a row, 2 race victories in a row. We'll see him over the line. He's able to do. I don't know if that lap was counted. He might have just been a bit too wide.
He was off the circuit as he came into shot. He was already on the grass at one point, so he's had to sort of wind it up to go again and try once more in the Audi. Robin Noel Brown's just gone second fastest in class, and not by a massive amount either, 31 thousandths of a second. A quick shout out to the championship sponsors, by the way: Keenan Eco Energy, GitGud Racing, AB Designs, Kame and Medius, and obviously a big nod to the series organisers and everybody at Evolution excuse me, Sim Racing, for having us on board for this season. As it's been announced, unfortunately, Ed and I won't be around for Season 6 due to clashes and other commitments elsewhere, but the series will be moving to the wonderful Apex Racing TV, a broadcaster that's been going many, many years. Started my career in commentary, in fact, did Apex a long, long time ago, and it's great to see their name still going strong, and I'm sure they will all serve you very well for the championship, and we hope that everyone enjoys their coverage just as much. But we will try and be back in the future, of course, Ed and I. We love these GT3 cars, and we've had a great laugh covering it.
Absolutely.
As Donnelly goes 3/10 quicker than everybody else at the top of the Premier class, and moves that class now ahead of Evo once again.
There we go. Good effort by Stephen Donnelly, really repping the Premier drivers, just to ahead of that pesky Martin Kenyon, or even actually Robin Noel Brown, who's not far off of Martin's time, and we know how quick Martin is, so that's a very impressive effort by Robin in the Suma GP2 Porsche. Archie Craven still in 3rd position in that Evo class. Needs to find out a couple tenths of a second if he's to try and take that top spot in the Evo class. Luke King with a lap time just coming through, good enough for 7th in class. And now he's just having, I think, a bit of a cool down lap. Just trying not to overwork the tyres too much. Scrub off all of that grip. It's all about focusing on sort of the time when the track is at its best, which is going to be at the end of the session.
This is Dennis Collar. No time on the board yet from him, Matthew Jones or Christopher Radloff. Jeffrey Darman hasn't taken to the circuit in this qualifying session yet. He was in the server earlier on. Not sure if he's had a disconnect or decided that it's not for him this evening. Archie Craven posted in the Discord not too long ago saying if it was not for that final corner, he would absolutely love this circuit. And it really is a tough final corner to get right. It's a double apex right-hander. It's squared off completely. But in cars like this, Ed, when you're trying to decelerate and get the car to rotate all at the same time, it feels so horrible, that last corner, doesn't it?
Really does. It's just so difficult to really get that car turned in, because you can't at it, like you can see here, just with so much speed, and the car is just naturally wanting to just plough off left into tyre barriers. Thankfully, you can see at the moment, this is Chris Keenan we're following, was able to keep it under wraps. Really just having to attack that first corner, but you've got to be so careful you don't turn in too early. Because,
or drive off the circuit.
Lapse of concentration, potentially. I don't think he's trying to cool his tyres. It doesn't really work either on iRacing. It used to be a sort of very of a power strategy, wasn't it, to run 2 wheels off onto the grass to cool them down and get more grip. But now that's been, well, completely sort of nerfed. There shouldn't be any sort of benefit from doing that now. St. Sarikar Desler, he's a driver we haven't focused on too much, have we, over much of sort of the season, really. He's a driver that's definitely flown under the radar. Get the good results though by just, like you say, staying out, like I said, staying out of trouble. At the moment though, it is still at the top of the elite class. Luke Lucchese.
Oh, nice.
Tristan Dinnebrega. Wonderful little transition there. Just Luke Lucchese ahead of Tristan Dinnebrega. Ryan Otton's up there with them as well, with Alpha 1 Esports.
Once again, RDSA just setting the standard. Luke Lucchese and Tristan trying to cover off that front row. Joe Glass off the back of a podium last time will be a lot more confident coming here. He's only 0.4 of a second off. John Breitenbach has improved. Stephen Donnelly is about to go even quicker in his class by the look of it. He's already got a 0.2 of a second lead, and he improves it to... No, it doesn't count in the end, actually. Wow, okay. Thought that was going to count because he stayed with it throughout the majority of the lap. Here's Nick Stubb. hoping to improve on 4th position at the moment. He's not far behind Ati Nagel, and no improvement there. He slows down to complete his session. Dennis Koller still with no time on the board. I believe Dennis is German. He comes up as sort of the Dutch and Swiss club on iRacing. So I'm not quite sure his exact nationality, but if he is German, obviously this would be his home race. Heading round the right-hander now, hard onto the brakes. Very tight left-hander here. It's all about the exit out of this corner. It's very easy to spin up the rears through there. Then you've got the weight transfer, chucking the car to the right again. Easy to tip it over that curb there. And on the exit, there's a huge dip down before that sausage curb. We're going to see a lot of the cars compress over there. This is the curb on the left I was on about earlier. You can use a lot of that, but if you touch that dirt, we are going to see cars go flying off into the right-hand side, into the wall there. I can tell you that over the course of the day. I think Marcel Breitenbach is maybe taking a leaf out of Jean Breiten's back. No, never mind. I was going to say Jean Breitenbach's book by hiding around the circuit, as they tend to during these qualifying and practice sessions. Here's Dennis Koller. Got John in the chat. I believe he's John Ludbrook. He's not out there on circuit tonight. Good to see you in the chat though, John. Thank you very much for jumping in, mate. Hope you're having a good evening wherever you may be. Dennis Koller with a valid time there, Ed, but definitely not representative.
No, definitely not. That's just time to at least be on the board, but needs to do a little bit better than that, and this is going to be his final time to do so. The drivers get 4 laps. This is his 4th and final time. Needs to just keep it between the white lines, but now he has something on the board, even though it's still only good for basically 2nd from last. Needs to get a bit of a shift on. Looks nice and tidy though through the hairpin. This is easily an area where you can just get a little bit out of shape if you don't get over to the right hand side of the circuit, slamming on the brakes. Careful as well, just on the accelerator because you're constantly turning while putting the power down. Trying to keep the car balanced to negate that wheel spin. Looks clean for now, doesn't it, Chaz?
Yeah, looking good this, looking a lot tidier. He seems a little bit more confident. It's genuinely like he just got a banker lap on the board, not really caring what sort of pace it was on. As that was close to track limits there. It's got a little bit hot into this hairpin, but you can tuck it in nicely. Use the sort of bowl effect of the corner. Use the camber. Lob the car on the exit. It feels great when you get this sector right. But all of a sudden, you go through camber that really helps you to going over the crest at the second to last corner, then having to tuck it in again at the final corner, not run it out too far on the left. I think he's kept that within the lines just enough.
Yep. Should be a much better lap time there from Dennis Koller, and good enough for 5th in class. So that's a much, much better time going from 10th up to 5th in that Evo class. As well, where's John Breitenbach this week? He's hiding in a marshal post by the looks of things.
Yeah, he's gone to the bog. It's it's not quite.
No,
I love this.
Post,
this
is
that is a bog. I think this has become a weekly feature of this championship. It's like Where's Wally, but it's just Where's John. He's having his little jaunts around the circuit and hiding in different bits of the apparatus. Paul Cowlishaw 5th overall, highest Lamborghini in the field. He'll be happy with that. Martin Kenyon has pole position in the Evo class. Stephen Donnelly and Joe Shapara make it a JSD Racing Team front row in their class, but they won't actually be starting together on the circuit. Dennis Koller has done 4 laps now, though. He just continuing on around the track, basically, to just use more practice, isn't he, really, Ed? It's all about track time. There's no substitute for it.
Yeah, that is the main thing. You're out on the circuit. The session's still ticking over, so you might as well make the most of it, and that's exactly what Dennis Koller is doing this moment in time. I think John Breitenbach was with him, but yeah, like you say, he's parked up, so he isn't really utilising the circuit to quite the same degree. He's obviously going to be welcome for Dennis to get that extra little bit of track time, but of course the conditions won't be the same all race to what he's experiencing now, because there is that threat of rain potentially towards the end of the race. It is billed as a sort of dry to wet race. We'll see though if that is going to come through, really throwing it now in towards turn 1.
Yeah, you've got to have such commitment through there, because while the apex is sort of blind Oh, look at that placement there. Because the apex is sort of blind, the exit is so wide that you don't really know how far the car's going to wash wide, so you've got to just focus on how hard you hit that inside curb. There will be drivers that smack it way too hard and go off to the left-hand side, and then all of a sudden they'll find themselves maybe overcorrecting, maybe on the grass as well down towards turn 2, but hopefully no major incidents at all. But Jean Breitenbach, as always, providing us with some great entertainment with his hiding places. Hopefully he doesn't knock that fire extinguisher over if he does leave before the session comes to a close. Good to see the marshal maintaining professionalism there, though, and waiting to wave the flag at any inconvenience out there on the circuit. He's ignoring the Porsche that's turned itself into a really bad camper van. But interesting session that, though. Tristan Dinnebrega eventually getting pole position, though, from Luke Lucchese by 12 thousandths of a second, and 31 thousandths separating the Evo class, Ed. Again, even at this late stage of the season, it's just ridiculously close everywhere, isn't it?
So tight. And it's as we see now, he's decided to emerge from the Portaloo just as the session comes to an end. And just having a look now when the session is going to tick over when it starts, because we are anticipating rain at, I think it's 10 o'clock in sim time. By the looks of things, the race is going to get underway at around about 20 minutes or so, maybe 25 minutes past 9. So we could see into the final sort of 20 minutes of the race a real downpour, because it's looking, I can see a little bit creeping in on the radar actually. It does look quite heavy.
Hefty. Let's see how it goes then, shall we? We're going to line them up with Tristan Dinnebrega and Luke Lucchese on the front row of the grid. Ryan Ottens and Joe Glass line up on row 2. Then it's Paul Cowlishaw and Matt Hoyland in the Lamborghinis on row 3. Jean Breitenbach and Luke King make up row 4. Stephen Donnelly, the lead Premier Class driver, is 9th ahead of Christopher Radloff. And then Martin Kenyon and Robin Noel Brown are on the 6th row, leading the way in the Evo class. Next up is Joe Shapara with Ati Nagel alongside him. Archie Craven is 15th with Nick Stubb for company. Then it's Scott Kostrick and Graham Matthew, the KM Racing team, on row 9. Bruno Silva is next ahead of Jonathan Provost in the undercover sim racing car. Don't remember seeing Jonathan last time out, so good to see him back. Ian Cable in the Ferrari is 21st ahead of Hussein Saraka Desla. Matthew Jones is 23rd with James Bostock in 24th place. Next up is Dennis Collar with Gareth Newton on row 13. Russell Jakes and Danny Weir are next, ahead of Rob Mackay and Alex Boniface, who completes the top 30. Owen Seward is 31st with Chris Keenan 32nd. Marcel Breitenbach is in 33rd place in the Audi. That's a big surprise. Double winner at Road America. And Jeffrey Darman, I don't believe, is going to take the start of the race. So, interesting that we've got Marcel Breitenbach all the way down here, Ed, at the back of the field. Like I say, winning both races at Road America. Not sure if he had a qualifying banner or anything, because I'm pretty sure he was out there on circuit, was he not?
I think he was, yeah. I do remember seeing him out there. So that is going to be... So I'm going to have to look now through our Discord just to see if there was anything in the steward's office. I don't remember seeing anything.
No. I think there's a few drivers with drive-through penalties that they have to serve, which is quite interesting. So... that may be something that gets carried over that we see here. Matthew Jones, Christopher Radloff, Joseph Preston and Ashley Brooks. But Ashley is not racing tonight. He's in the YouTube chat saying hello. Good to see you, Ash. Hope you're all right. And Matt Hoyland as well, saying this should be tasty. I imagine it will be. Matt's starting on the 3rd row of the grid here with Paul Cowlishaw repping the Lamborghini squadron. Key overtaking opportunities on this track then, Ed. It's definitely going to be down to the hairpin, but out of the final corner, we've seen people make moves before turn 1 before, haven't we?
Yeah, we've also actually seen people try and make moves. Actually, is it coming out of, I think they call it Mobile 1 curve in towards the section they're coming through now. If a driver makes a little bit of a mistake, they do become very vulnerable into this cambered hairpin. So through here, driver runs a little bit wide. Sometimes there is an opportunity to be found just through this section where the drivers are coming up to now. So this could also be an unorthodox but definitely possible area where we can see some of the action unfolding. Definitely as well, actually, the corner after the hairpin, sort of the main overtaking zone, is where battles can sort of carry over, can't they, Chaz? I'm sure you know that all too well from your time actually doing real world commentary. I
still maintain that the best real world race I ever commentated on was here in Clio Cup Europe in 2021 alongside David Addison. It was amazing, amazing race that in Clio's. Very, very good fun to cover. But this will be as well, as we get ready for round 16, an hour-long race here in the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship, and it's down to Tristan Dinabrega to lead us away, and he does so as he puts the pedal to the metal and slots in front of his teammate Luke Lucchese down into turn 1. Very tidy stuff from those guys. What's it like through the rest of the field? Looks all tidy to me. No contact, no argy-bargy through there. Great stuff. Down towards turn 2, Lucchese on the outside line. Dinabrega covering the inside. Joe Glass is very close to the back of Ryan Ottens. John Brayton back there side by side with Luke King as well. Bit of a ding-dong in the middle here. Oh, that's Nick Stubb around. He's sideways. John Brayton back is also around in the Porsche as well. 2 of them off on the inside line. Seems like they're the only casualty so far. Oh, there was another car off in the background there, I think. Yes, there is. Oh, and it's Marcel Brayton back as well in the Audi. Both the Brayton backs are broken backs at the moment. As oh, the big shenanigans there on the exit of the hairpin head.
Yeah, shenanigans, but thankfully not a massive pile up. It all looks to be relatively clean out there. Obviously, behind that little blip. Ryan Otten's continuing on in 3rd place. Oh, is that Matt Hoyland around? It is.
Contact with Cowlishaw. He's
in a bad spot.
Yeah, that's not a good place to be. Oh, it's terrifying. I don't like it. Mom. Oh my god. Well, fair play to Matt. He did the right thing there. He did the right thing and just waited. He had contact. I think he went down the inside of Paul Cowlishaw. I don't think Paul knew that he was getting fully alongside. Oh, now Bruno Silva's off. And oh, that's Scott Kostrick in the middle of the road. Oh, and there's plenty of cars making contact with him. I think all of them were Porsches. Road is completely blocked there. Kostrick trying to stay out of the way. Danny Weir getting going again. Nick Stubb involved in that. Dennis Collar is off the road. Dennis has had great form recently. James Bostock's had trouble as well. Series admin. Oh, just tow it, James. That is a knackered Porsche. Front left is completely locked up. And I'm not quite sure how that all started, but I think maybe Scott Kostrick had a spin on his own. This is how it looked from Russell Jakes. You can see Dennis Collar in front has a bit of a wobble. Kostrick's already around there, actually, and oh, goodness me. Russell
Kostrick around, or was one of the other cars around? Was Matthew Jones involved there?
I think Bruno Silva was the other car, actually.
Bruno
this is
Silva.
Kostrick. Yeah, that's Bruno Silva down the inside. Oh, I don't think Kostrick knew he was going to get the overlap. They're both sideways. He's on the brakes, but the car carries on rolling. Gets hit by Bostock, then Cable. Oh, and then Jones, and then Weir. Wow. Big old incident that. I mean, if we watch that again, just from the chopper cam, you'll see Kostrick just got the tiniest of taps. He got out of it, tried to tuck back in. Don't think he knew Silva was there, in fairness. He got a great run on him, but then it's...
He wouldn't have gotten the spotter call till very late into the corner.
3, 4, 5. And then a 6th hit there as well. But he did everything he could, did Scott. He was on the brakes. The car they roll back horribly when they're on the brakes, even though you've got the pedal planted, it will still move. It's an absolute nightmare. Robin Noel Brown from the lead of the Evo class has had a drama, and Archie Craven now leads that class. Is Martin Kenyon going to give him a bit of a biff? He's got down the inside. Oh, Martin just bounced across the curb a little bit there. And that's interesting for the championship, because that means now Archie Craven is still ahead of this lot. And he is now leading the class quite convincingly. Stephen Donnelly leading the Premier class as well. He's got a few cars between himself and Joe Shapara. Chris Keenan's having a belting time. 16 places gained for Chris at the moment with all the drama. He's loving life.
He really is going to be enjoying every single moment of this. I'm just going to have a look as well, actually, at what we might see the drivers opt for potential strategy calls, because they are anticipating the rain. Might be wise, because there's almost inevitably going to be a tyre change if they only take enough fuel to go to that crossover point, because then while they're taking fuel on at the same time as tyres, that's essentially free pit stop time. You're getting on that first stop, not needing to brim the tank up to go to the end.
Very, very true. There's a lot to think about in this, because you have to time the pit stops, like you say, to make sure that you lose as little time possible in the bigger picture, and that you're as quick as you are, well, as quick as possible on the circuit while you're still on it. So they certainly have a lot to calculate.
The car as light as possible for as long as possible as well. You usually get that by going longer on that first stop. Again, it's just so difficult to managing balance when you've got so many other cars around you all thinking that same thing as well. By going for a shorter initial stop than planning on having more fuel towards the end, you're gambling essentially on when you expect that rain to come and when you think it's best to change on to the wet compound tyres. And that's going to be something the drivers need to be able to get absolutely right, because the worst thing in the world is to essentially under-fuel the car, have to pit for fuel before the rain has come, and then you're sort of stuck deciding, do I just go just stick some wets on, go around slowly for a bit and then hope the rain comes, or do I need to come in a second time for the tyres? So it's all about managing so many different spinning plates at this moment in time. We can see Stephen Donnelly having to manage Christopher Radloff in behind. This is a battle that is not necessarily for a points playing position, but it is for track position. Stephen Donnelly, though, giving plenty of space on the inside and thinks, you know what, Christopher, you're pretty quick, you've got a teammate up there as well, might as well go for it. And again, Stephen, while he does get a run, he does lift just to give Christopher a little bit more space to work with.
Yeah, he did get a really good run out of the hairpin there. It's a shame that he had to back out of that, but yeah, he's got a few cars. Well, he's got a car, Archie Craven, between himself and Joe Sparrow. Joe is next up, and obviously it's Stephen's teammate as well, and Joe is convincingly ahead in the Drivers' Championship, so he doesn't have to worry. Oh, potential slowdown there actually for Sparrow. He moves out of the way of Martin Kenyon. Martin goes through in the Lambo. Archie Craven won't like that. There's a battle going on here as, there was. Alex Boniface is off the circuit. I think maybe damage from earlier on. Oh, Jeffrey Darman and Matthew Jones have come to strife. And looks like both cars are all right to carry on, but yeah, some sort of issues here. There's one way then the other. Oh, Jones tries to get the run, and not sure if Jeffrey's just sort of closed the gap there. That's a nasty hit into the wall, that is, actually, for a Porsche, isn't it, really, with the engine so far back? That's not what you want at all.
What's over it? Tristan Dennebrega, he's got exactly what he wants, and that's just a clear space of track in front of him, a teammate in behind that I think maybe after their team meeting, after what the drama that we saw last time out, maybe not be too eager to throw moves up the inside, and instead just trying to work together to break away from that Alpha 1 Esports car. Look, though, at the ominous dark clouds that are starting to move into the circuit, Chaz. You can't see it from this angle, but as they come around this right-hander, you're going to see a big wall of it. Look at that.
Mordor.
Yeah.
Mordor that way. It is certainly looming, and the drivers are going to make what they can of this circuit while it's dry and while it is warm, because it is very quickly going to change when it gets to it. Gareth Newton here in the Lamborghini, right behind Bruno Silva, under pressure from Matt Hoyland here. 3 different classes. That's the second time Hoyland's gone a little bit hot into there, and he hit Cowlishaw earlier on, actually, so that was another one of the Suma GP2 Lamborghinis. These guys in different classes. Silva in the Premier class, Newton in the Evo class, and Hoyland in the Elite class, but none of them are obliged to get out of the way. They're free to battle for whatever position they want to at the end of the day. If it's overall position, then why not? He's still having a little bit of a scrap. The flashing lights of iRacing's shadows seem to glisten away on the back of the Lambos through there. Dennis Collar recovering as well. He's got Owen Seward right in front of him, and, right next to him, and now right behind him. That happened quicker than I could talk about it. Wow.
Yeah, Dennis Collar really moving up toward the field. Had that little moment earlier, but seems to be getting some good pace to climb back up the order. He was 5th, though, in class. He's currently now 8th, so it's not necessarily gaining in terms of his class position. In terms of overall positions, he has gained 2 from when he started. Not the driver who's gained the most, though. That honour goes to Chris Keenan, the MSC 496 Ferrari. Very good job is Chris. At this moment in time, just slowly but surely keeping out of trouble, and I think he did gain a lot. I think being safe and sensible through that incident we saw on the opening lap, where so many other cars got stuck and slowed down.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's shaken up the field quite a bit, that incident, but there were some drivers that got lucky and got through it. There were some that unfortunately got tangled up in it. It's usually the case though when you try and see, well, when you see one car try to avoid an incident and just make a move one way, left or right, they then take another car out, and it's a bit of a domino effect, I'm afraid, but it just happens. Everybody's trying to avoid the stationary car, and you can't always have eyes in the back of your head to avoid everyone else. But it's Tristan Dinnebrega, still leading at the moment, ahead of championship leader Luke Lucchese. The two teammates were left to their own devices to battle at Road America and infamously had contact in the second race. Yeah, are we going to see the same again today? I'm not sure with a 1 hour race here, Ed. I think they'll play it a little bit more coy than that.
Yeah, I imagine so. It's going to be just working together. I've been trying to break away from Ryan Ottens, but it doesn't seem to be the case. Ryan's keeping up a good turn of pace, and he's certainly matching the times set by those ahead. Actually, last lap he was a couple of tenths quicker than our race leader, so Ryan might be able to get a bit more rhythm under his wing. As what's going on there is one of the Ferraris, I think, just dropping out of the way. That's Ian Cable, sorry. I thought that was going to be actually some moving going on. That's another Ferrari, and what we were just saying about Chris Keenan having a great race, all of a sudden it's just come a little bit undone.
Yeah, I was going to say, one Ferrari moving out of the way voluntarily, that one involuntarily there for Chris. Just overdid it on the exit, I think. Very easy to do this. There's a big curb on the inside. If you clip that, it hooks the car around, just like that, actually. Thank you for the demonstration, Chris. And he lit up the rears as soon as he could. Nice little spin, that, actually, using the grass, to be fair. He really styled that one out. But he won't have wanted to have done that at all. So hopefully his race gets better from this point. We look here at Joe Glass, 4th place overall. Paul Cowlishaw right behind him in the Lamborghini. Paul, the highest non-Porsche in the field. The two of them, well, actually the top 5 are the only cars that are currently where they started the race. So these guys holding station quite well so far. You can see the rest of the top 5. Ryan Ottens in 3rd position again. Very Ryan Ottens-esque performance this, under the radar, but on to score big points. He's moved up to 2nd in the championship as of late as well, Ed, hasn't he, with that consistency?
Yeah, and it's key to getting a good result in the championship is just consistent, solid points, race in, race out. Ryan Ottens, like you're saying, he's definitely getting a good shift on in that championship standings. A few more good races and a bit more misfortune potentially for our RDSA up in front, and he could easily find himself gaining another position before the end of the season, even though there isn't a whole lot of time left to gain places now. Like I say, it is just his consistency that has been, I think, a real factor in where he finds himself so far this season.
Yeah, he's done a great job.
Paul Cowlishaw really gaining actually on Joe Glass just through those couple of corners. Finding the pressure on the Glasstec DXT machine. And actually is Joe Glass just struggling a little bit potentially. Doesn't quite look as confident into these corners compared to the Lamborghinis chasing him.
Yeah, it's strange, isn't it? The Lamborghini is seemingly a lot more favourable at certain circuits this season. There's definitely strengths to it. You see the car suddenly behave so much more differently. I've always said it looks like a heavy car, and it looks like it'd take a lot to really spin the thing and overdo it, whereas the Porsche looks like it's sort of dancing on eggshells quite a lot, but it's actually the Porsche is the car that you can really throw around a little bit harder. And the Lamborghini, it's grippy and it's really well planted, but it's very easy to unsettle it, and it will just carry too much weight and spin in a really horrible, slow manner. We've got the two Alpha 1 Esports Porsches of Luke King and Christopher Radloff together on the circuit here in 6th and 7th place. 2 and 3 spots gained for those guys. Stephen Donnelly just behind them, and in the background, well, I was going to say any moment now, but there you'll see Archie Craven leading the Evo class. Martin Kenyon 2.2 seconds behind him. Between them, current championship leader in the Premier class, Joe Spara, doing everything right at the minute. JSD Racing Team, really the team to beat in the Premier Championship. And out of the hairpin they go. There's a good bit of daylight between these guys, so they're not really getting in each other's way, are they?
No, not at the moment. They are sort of in their own little bubbles, aren't they? Just keeping pace with each other. Not really gaining, not really dropping back. It's all just playing it safe for the moment. Although on that last lap, it was more of a case of Joe Spara picking up the pace a little bit in relation to Archie Craven and Martin Kenyon. Could be an important factor, of course, if Joe is able to get ahead of Archie Craven, because then that means that Martin Kenyon has a direct route to his main championship rival. Gareth Newton there, staying in 5th place in the Evo class, with Bruno Silva for company. Ooh, Bruno under a lot of pressure, and this is a move up the inside. We did say it's an unconventional area, but you can make moves stick, and that is a brilliant little send up the inside by Nick, but he has to then try and fend off.
Oh no!
Oh, Bruno Silva, who loses us out again, just tapping a couple of wheels onto the grass, unsettling the car. It was very good to regain control and only lose out to Dennis Collar.
Wow, very scary moment there. Very scary indeed. Still Tristan Dinnebrega leading this race outright. Luke Lucchese in 2nd position. The 2 RDSA Porsches not really streaking away from the field though. Ryan Otton's only 1.4 seconds back. And I'm going to be intrigued to see who's got the wet weather pace and who has got the tyre choice absolutely spot on. You know, you've got to time it to perfection, but let's not forget, Ed, in a field like this, we've seen it ourselves in smaller fields before with much less of a sort of pace spread, that there are drivers that just absolutely nail the wet weather conditions, and they just know exactly how to drive it. They know exactly where the limit is. I think there's going to be some drivers here that really shine and get podium finishes when it starts raining. Wondering what the Lamborghini's going to be like in the wet as well, actually, compared to the Porsche, because obviously the weight balance of these cars all very different as well. It's not a one-make championship by any stretch, is it?
No, it isn't, but it is just so key to get it absolutely nailed of when you decide to make that pit stop. And it's going to be, I think, a defining moment in the race when it happens. Should be maybe 15 minutes away. I'm having a look just at the weather radar, and it is certainly looming, I think it's fair to say. It's definitely not showing any signs of dissipating before it gets to the circuit, and then it just becomes a case of when and not if.
Absolutely. It's going to be a busy part of the race for us to keep our eye on as well, as we have Joe Glass here with Paul Cowlishaw's Lamborghini right behind him. You can see the literal change in the weather there. Look, you've got blue skies here and then grey skies and very, very high clouds, actually. It's a really high cloud base, that is, for the rain coming over. Seems like the skybox is very tall here at Hockenheim, but often you see the clouds seemingly a little bit lower than that, so not quite sure what part of the stratosphere those clouds are in, but still, they are looming and they are going to pour down rain on this circuit. There's been a lot of legendary wet Hockenheim races in Formula 1 in the past. A lot of people will remember the 2000 German Grand Prix with Rubens Barrichello scoring his first victory for Ferrari. Very emotional race. An incredible one at that. I think he won from something like 16th or 14th on the grid as well. It's a hell of a drive. Not going to see quite that difference or that sort of run through the order here, I don't think, but still, we're going to see drivers really put through their paces and really tested by the conditions in this one. Here is our Evo class lead battle. And Martin Kenyon already heading into the pits. Nearly 20 minutes of this race done, and he blinks first here, Ed.
Look. Martin Kenyon, is he going to opt for having a shorter stop and then gambling on when the rain is going to come? See him now into his pit box. Coming onto the jacks, taking tyres at the same time as fuel, so he's going to have fresher rubber as well when the rain does come, which is going to benefit him massively. And he's able to obviously keep those tyres in good nick. Usually it's only the front tyres that the drivers have time to do before the rain properly sets in. Now he's just revving the living daylights out of it, waiting for it to get going. There it does. It's got a short way to go before he's back out onto racing speed. Needs to be careful though, because he will be finding himself pretty much onto the apex of turn 2, but can easily slot himself in behind. Car just ahead as Jean Breitenbach. That's out the final corner, isn't it? Ooh, and is that car going straight? Seems to be there or thereabouts.
Savaganders. Is he just going to clip the curb? Does he clip the sausage curb and put it to the inside? Yep. So easily done. I don't think he hit anything in the end, or does he? No, actually, keeps it out of the wall. Oh, he kisses the barrier, getting going again. I think he's all good. Well, oh no, that's Marcel breaking back now.
Oh my word.
Well, these boys are having a nightmare tonight. Marcel around again there in the Audi. Clearly the mid-engine cars don't like that sort of weight transfer-y nature of the circuit as much as finally Paul Cowlishaw gets alongside Joe Glass. The two of them right together as they go down towards the back straight. Cowlishaw really far out wide but gets the run in the Lamborghini. Screaming its way down towards the hairpin. He's going to have the inside line, but we have seen it before that the outside line can prevail here with the run out of the corner. So as long as Joe is late enough on the brakes, he is late on the brakes, he uses all of the room. Look, see if he can sweep around. No, Cowlishaw gets across him. Really good move that by Paul. And the Lamborghini now in front, but for how long? Because Joe is not going to take that one line down. He's going to come back at him.
He's really going to go for it. Again, he's just not close enough. Wonderful stuff there by Cowlishaw. Ooh, looks a little bit shaky though, doesn't he? He needs to be under pressure once more. As Joe Glass wants to get back at him. I think he's just been able to hang on for the moment.
Yeah, not quite enough.
Also hanging on is the race leader, Tristan de Nebrega. He's got Luke Lucchese still breathing down his neck, and they're coming up to traffic. That is the car we saw earlier of Marcel Breitenbach, the Barbecue Bread Racing Audi. A very good job there getting out of the way, not hampering either of the leading pair. It's like just in behind.
These two are just in flying formation at the moment. We ought to give them smoke pods on the cars just to make it a little bit more fancy looking. Ryan Ottens is doing well though. He's only 2 seconds off Luke Lucchese at this stage. He was 1.4 seconds off about 10 minutes ago, so he's really not dropping away from these guys that much. Last time round, although I say that, he was 0.7 of a second slower on that last lap actually. But that means he must have been a lot closer than that previously, but still. It's been a bit of a fluctuation of pace there from Ottens, but he's still going for it. Matt Hoyland is recovering after his earlier dramas. He's currently on the back of Robin Noel Brown in the Porsche. Robin makes it clear he's staying all the way over to the left. And brakes a little bit early, lets Matt Hoyland through down the inside. And Matt now moves up into 13th place overall. Now we've had Martin Kenyon in the pits. We'll show you the pit stops on the left-hand side. Martin Kenyon has pitted, but our class leader, Archie Craven, has not. There's a few drivers in each of the classes that are yet to pit for the first time. I think a lot of them here, Ed, are banking on that rain becoming heavy enough when there's about 20 minutes, maybe half an hour of the race left to go, because for a little bit it won't necessitate inters, will it?
It won't, so you could be able to hang on for a while before you'll need to change tyres. They do basically just have the two compounds of dry and wet. There's no sort of middle ground for these drivers. So it's basically just all or nothing, and they need to be able to really pick that moment where the crossover happens. The moment that it switches from being a wet race, or sorry, a dry race to a wet race, that's when they have to start to pull the trigger. I'm just having a look now at the weather radar. Just at the moment on the fringes of impact of the circuit. Give it another 10 minutes and we'll start to see the drivers notice a few spots of rain, I think.
We'll see windscreen wipers get going very, very soon. Thank you for watching so far, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Hope you're enjoying the show here on Chaz Draycott Media. This is the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship, sponsored by Kame, Medius, Keenan Eco Energy, GitGud Racing and AB Designs. And you've got myself, Chaz Draycott, and Ed May up in the commentary box. This is round 16 of the 18-round championship, the finale, which is going to take place at Portimao in a week's time. Sorry, Catalonia, is it not? In a week's time.
Catalonia, I think.
No, I've got Portimao on the calendar. Yeah, why have I got Catalonia written down? Am I going mental? Probably. But we've got Catalonia in a week's time for the season finale. I think Portimao was the season finale last time, was it not?
May have been, yes. Yeah.
What was it? Where the flipping heck have I got Portimao from?
Got it from SRM? Oh, have you got Catalunya from? Sorry, flipping it.
I don't know.
Do too much. We've got too many things. They're both on a day of the week that starts with a T as well, which throws me off. From a dyslexia.
I was going to say if that's what it takes, Ed. But it's it's going to be a great season finale. 2 sprint races as well, 2 half-hour races rather than 1 hour race like we have here tonight. Russell Jakes unfortunately had an issue here in his Porsche, the MRC 496 car. Oh, the back end gets away from him. Oh, and it's heated up that left rear tyre, and then it just gives way on him around the last corner, and he's in the middle of the road. Gets out of the way very quickly though. Nicely done. That was Ati Nagel just followed him there. Stephen Donnelly now in the pit lane. Ash confirming that it is Portimao in the chat. Thank you very much, mate. Not a clue where I got Catalunya from. Wait, was the start of the season Catalunya? It was, wasn't it? I know what I've done because I'm a massive idiot. In my calendar, I have basically copy and pasted the event for every round of the season and then forgotten to change the last one. Because I put what championship it is and what circuit. And it still said Catalunya because I copy and pasted the Catalunya one 12 times or however many times it was. My bad. But thank you.
Got it sorted in the end.
Yay. No wonder they're changing to Apex. Tristan Dinabrega leads with Luke Lucchese just under 0.4 of a second behind him. And these two, like we've said, are just flying the flag for their team at the moment. Let's not forget, there's a lot of cars that have pitted at this stage of the race. These guys have not quite yet. They're staying out for as long as possible. You do usually get 2 pit stops in these races, don't we, Ed? It doesn't normally sort of always become a one-stop.
I think some of the drivers is a one-stop just because the drivers, they have a fixed setup that they have like a fixed amount of fuel they have to start with, but they can put as much fuel in on the subsequent stops. So usually they fill up to go to the end on these races. But we are expecting it to be a 2-stop regardless because of the rain threat.
Very true. Gareth Newton's gone off in the Suma Lamborghini. Don't think that's anything to do with weather. Just maybe a bit of a driver error there. Let's see what he's had go on here. Archie Craven into the pits, by the way, in the Audi. Cowler Shaw, Sarah Cadesler, Provost, Hoyland and Graham Matthew all in. Oh, that was soft. That was not. That was a very soft spin, that, for Gareth Newton. Car sort of gave up halfway around the curb as Martin Kenyon having to defend here from Joe Spara. As, nearly hitting the back of Chris Keenan, who heads into the pits in the Ferrari. And let's not forget, both of these guys have pitted. We've got Jonathan Provost going on to wets here in the undercover sim racing Porsche. I'll show you the tyre compounds on the left-hand side of the screen. You can see he's the only one with that blue ring around the rather prominent W. Matches the car at least, but yeah, Jonathan Provost on wet tyres. A little bit early for that, I think. Maybe sort of pre-planned it and then his stop has come sooner than expected. Let's see what this car handles like, or doesn't. He's going to be shredding those.
Looks unsteady, to say the least. The rain is incoming, but not this soon. You can clearly see no raindrops falling at all. It's going to be interesting though to see when the drivers do, I think, en masse decide to come into the pits.
Well, now. By the look of it, Tristan Dinabrega into the pits. Luke Lucchese behind him. These guys not changing to wet tyres though, by the look of it. They're on dries. Lucchese, Ottens, Glass King and Radloff all in there. I think the guys are just expecting that the weather is not going to be serious enough as Ottens has jumped him. Ottens is stationary for 16 seconds. These guys stationary for 24 and 25. They're literally morphing through each other on the exit of the pit lane. But Ryan Ottens leads.
That's exactly what I was saying. They've all fueled up to the end. Ryan Ottens has fueled up just enough to make it. So when the rain is expecting to come, by doing that, he's able to then take fuel and tyres at the same time. Basically meaning that the extra fuel he has to take does not factor into the pit stop time because doing the tyres takes longer than doing the fuel.
Very interesting indeed. The drivers know how it all works, of course. And they plan these things to perfection. But still, the RDSA cars glued to each other in the background there. Archie Craven and Martin Kenyon are less than a second apart right now. And this is the battle for the Evo class lead. Stephen Donnelly is only 1.6 seconds ahead of Hussein Sarakadesla. Sarakadesla didn't take tyres either by the look of it. 13 seconds stationary for him. As Martin comes really close there to the back of Archie. Archie was quite far over to the left-hand side. It still remains only Jonathan Provost on wet tyres at this part of the race, but the cloud has very much taken over now, and you can see in the background that the clouds are getting lower and more thick, and they will lob all the rain down onto this glorious circuit. A circuit, to be fair, Ed, that doesn't drain very well because it's quite flat, this place, isn't it? And there's a lot of curbs for the water to sink into, which it does on iRacing.
Yeah, it's laser scan circuit, so where the water would pool in the real world is where it will pool in the sim. Yeah, I'm really getting close though. It's one of those times in the race where the driver's basically right on the edge of being able to make it to the point where the rain is going to fall, but it's going to be maybe another 5 minutes or so. It could be a case for why Jonathan Provost has decided to go for the wet tyres. He is 22 seconds away from Stephen Donnelly, but hopes that the time that he loses, basically while being out there on those wets, he sort of makes back up by not needing to do a pit stop. But he's really struggling. You can see there, that car not happy at all.
It's like the tyres are made of stone. It's just really not helping him, is it? That's actually not a car for position behind him either, actually. That's Scott Kostrick in the 101 Porsche. It was a lap down, but unlapping himself because he's not really got any other choice. Provost is struggling that much on those tyres that he's naturally found his way through. A little bit more sunlight shining down on the circuit for just a second there. But we need to go back to this because it's not just sunlight shining on the back of that Audi, it's those bright endurance lights on the front end of that gorgeous Lamborghini. Martin Kenyon leading the Evo Class Championship. Archie trying to dethrone him at the moment. Archie's had a couple of wins recently. Martin really showing his nose down the inside there, actually trying to put pressure on Archie at this point. I'm not sure whether if I was Martin right now, Ed, I'd just sort of follow Archie for a little bit, assess where his pace is, where he's quicker, wait and see what the weather does, because you don't want to take too much of a risk yet and throw yourself in front.
Yeah, that's another important thing, is you can't just go at the first sight of rain, because there is that time where the circuit just hasn't got the standing water to make those tyres work. Martin Kenyon for now though, right up with his main rival Archie Craven, and I think it's going to be a case of these two. It's going to be so exciting to see the pair of them. Archie Craven's just gone round. A simple little mistake. He keeps it. I think actually does scrape the barrier a little bit.
He smacks the barrier.
Damage. Oh yeah, actually it does look a little bit worse for wear. Quite a lot worse for wear actually. It was just one little moment. Does the left-hand side wheels just dip over the curb and that causes instability in the suspension?
It's already gone. It was already gone at the apex. And wow, big old hit. Doesn't seem to have damaged the car too much though. Physically, I'm not Dutch. Physically on the outside, that front left has been battered in, but seemed the left rear has also taken a hit. Joe Sparrow's just got past Martin Kenyon. Martin, now that he's ahead of Archie, doesn't need to worry about Joe so much. Archie is still pushing on, but what's the damage like in terms of how the car is behaving? Hoyland down the inside of Ati Nagel. And back in front he goes, but worry now for the sake of Archie's Audi whether it's going to behave itself, because that's got damage on one side of the car. It's going to be very unstable. We hope for his sake that that's not what shot the fox, but Martin Kenyon will be pleased with that. Championship lead. He won't want the race to be decided like that. He's a good sport, but at the same time, you've got to take what comes to you, haven't you? In these sorts of scenarios, Ed. It's just one of those things sometimes.
It certainly is. Shame as well, because that was really shaping up to be a wonderful battle between Martin and Archie. Hopefully Archie hasn't got any lasting damage, but you did see there was a bit of impact in the barrier, and I think Archie just has to keep on going. He can't afford to get it repaired at this moment in time. He has to keep going until that rain comes, where I think he should have a fast repair to be able to fix the damage. But we saw it again. I think we see a little wiggle from Archie just in the background there, yet again coming through that final corner. The car not very well balanced at this moment in time just because of the damage.
Yeah, he's just going to get used to how it behaves now for a little bit. just hold on for the points where he can. Robin Noel Brown back into the pit lane. Not quite sure what he's had go on there, but he has already pitted before. Up into 4th place in class again. He dropped a number of positions earlier, but he's recovered since then. Ryan Ottens still leads this race, and we can see rain. There is rain on our screens, and there will be rain on the windscreen of these cars now, and it's coming in quite thick and fast actually. They're going to want to stay away from those curbs though. That's one of the key things here at the Hockenheim ring, isn't it, Ed? The curbs are so dominant around a lap that the drivers are really going to have to stay away from them. They're going to be really careful.
Yeah, it's one of the worst circuits to get rain on because you are very much always using the curbs. Obviously on the way into the corners, on the way out of them as well. You can see all 4 wheels onto the curb, and a little twitch from Ryan as he turns in. Just feeling a bit of the rain already, it seems. Even though it's only just started to fall. Yeah,
it can suddenly... Look, there's spray already coming up, actually. That side of the circuit has definitely got a bit of standing water forming on it quite quickly. Luke Lucchese has closed up a gap, or closed up the gap slightly. It's crazy, isn't it? There's a lot of sunshine directly in front. There's a few cars now changing onto wets, but they've done that as soon as it started raining. So they're taking the gamble early. At the end of the day, they're a bit further down the order, so they don't want to risk anything by staying on dries. But I think you're going to have a good few laps before you need to change from those slicks. I think a lot of the drivers are just overly worried about how confident they can be on the slicks in the wet, because all it takes is one little bit of standing water and you are in deep, deep doo-doo. We've spoken about it before as well, haven't we, though, Ed, that iRacing, obviously, with its dynamic surface, there will be water in some parts of the track and not in others based on where the cars go. On sims like Assetto Corsa Competizione, it's a predetermined dry line that's just technically the racing line, the usual racing line anyway. It dries out before the rest of the track. Whereas here, it genuinely depends where the cars go, and these guys can sort of form their own dry line, but again, they want to stay away from them curbs. Otten's
into the pits. Immediately comes Ryan Ottens. Luke
Wasn't
Lucchese.
expecting that.
Yeah, I don't think Luke Lucchese was either, and he barreled into the back of him. That was tight stuff. We'll see if Ryan is making the right call here, or if it was just a case of maybe staying out a little while longer. Having a look as well, actually, at the lap times of the wet runners. Can't really get any representative times because they've just been doing their outlaps essentially.
Yeah, Stephen Donnelly, the highest placed of them in the overall order. You can see on the left-hand side there, 16th place. Provost in 17th place, only a few seconds back from him, actually. Ryan Ottens and Joe Glass now taking the wet tyres. Ryan Ottens has been stationary for quite a while, gets going now. Joe Glass taking wets. Christopher Radloff also doing the same, and Paul Cowlishaw as well. Joe Sparrow still on dry tyres. There's rooster tails forming already on the back of these cars. Still looks quite sunny down this part of the track though, doesn't it? There is rain falling, but there's still sunshine shining in their face.
Yeah, I'm not sure if this is the right call to come onto the wet tyres so early. I think it could go for another little bit longer. Maybe a couple more laps. We are seeing a little bit of the rooster tail effect though, aren't we, Chaz? Just from the rear end of the cars. But it just doesn't look as treacherous out there. The car's seemingly able to take normal lines without suffering too much.
Yeah, they seem to be able to... They seem to be able to handle it for a good while, do the GT3 cars, because obviously the downforce helps quite a lot, but it's just when you get to the slower stuff, the car suddenly becomes really clumsy and really floaty, and it will not respond to what you want it to do. Graham Matthew is off, and the Lamborghini is off into the wall. Tristan Dinabrega is in the pits, but Luke Lucchese is not. Now that's an interesting one. Now it's wet. Now it's very wet down there. We've seen Luke Lucchese make the most of the slicks at, where was it, Mugello, for quite a while. He showed us that he was good on the slicks in slippery conditions. But it's just that I think the conditions preceded him at that round of the championship. Certainly knows how to handle it, but Tristan Dinabrega straight onto the wets. I suppose that's the thing with being in a team. One of you can go and try one strategy and the other can do something completely different.
Yeah, they can do. Is Dinabrega up and running now. Oh, looking very sketchy, isn't it, on the way out? not quite under control whatsoever, but look at the gap now. He's been able to jump ahead, hasn't he, off Ryan Otten's just on that last lap. Those wet tyres, maybe not the right call on that earlier lap, but certainly at the moment it's a lot harder out there. And who's that just having a moment?
Keenan,
It's like Chris Keenan. It is the Ferrari going slowly. Even on the wet tyres, drivers struggling to keep it on the straight line now as the whole of the field has come through to make a change. Stephen Donnelly, just having a look from earlier, up now into second place. Joe Spar up there with him.
Oh, Lucchese's off.
Oh, Lucchese off into the barrier.
Yeah, he's overdone it coming into the arena. I mentioned earlier that part of the circuit was going to be difficult. We'll see what the damage is like, because I don't think that car wants to behave itself. And Collar's off in the background. Dennis Collar's just gone off as well. Lucchese's car is really badly damaged. It's lifting a wheel off the floor. You'll hear the revs spike. He's going to really struggle to get this back in the pits now. Just stayed that extra lap, and it doesn't want to behave itself. Let's see how he did it though, Ed. Is it on the curb on the outside?
Could be just a case of maybe even on turn in. You'll see already he's run wide, and then he's stuck there onto the curb on the exit. He's just aquaplanes.
Yeah, completely.
Zero grip whatsoever. He just skates across the surface. We'll hear it as he goes on board.
He's the last car on dries. You can hear that one tiny spike of the revs is all it takes to break traction. That's such a shame for Luke Lucchese. He is in the pit lane now getting repaired, but this is the battle for the race lead, and it's Tristan Dinnebrega and Ryan Ottens. We've seen Ryan come alive in wet weather conditions before, and he's doing it again now. This is brilliant to see. Great battle between the Alpha 1 Esports car and the RDSA Esports car. 18.5 minutes left to go. I think Dinnerbrega's gone deep there. He has. But he's going to use the momentum of the wider line to carry the speed through the first part of the corner. Then Ottens goes the other way. Go on board, because I love these shots from on board with the rain on the windscreen. All the drama, the wiper going crazy as well. It's fantastic stuff to watch. Wet weather racing here on iRacing. They really have got it nailed. Look how close the two of them are. They bang doors as they head down towards the hairpin.
Now, Tristan Dinnebrega, he's braking on the better line for the wets, but then needs to cross over. And look at Ryan Ottens. He gets a great drive out of the corner.
Not enough, though.
Dinnerbrega's still there with him.
Brilliant racing this between the two of them. He's just got rid of the overlap. That was brave by Ottens. That was to come across to just make sure that the overlap was gone. But Dinnebrega looks down the inside. He could potentially aquaplane, but no. Ryan Ottens says, not on your life. Holds on to it. Brilliant stuff. Ryan Ottens leads here at the Hockenheim ring, round 16 of the championship. And the wet weather really throwing the cat amongst the pigeons. We've had some cars spin around, unfortunately. Ferraris. Chris Keenan, nearly loses it there, and then again it's just going to go, and that's on wets as well. And his teammate Ian Cable, I believe, having a similar drama. This is down at turn 1, potentially hits the curb. That's... What can you do about that? What can you do about it? It's horrible to see. Scott Kostrick, sorry for the sporadic replays. Scott Kostrick has had a drama. I think this is going to be on the curb as well. No, it's just aquaplane straight on. No, actually he's got it back. No, it's gone. Oh. Tiny little spike of the revs. More cars off. Chris Keenan and Danny Weir both off in the gravel again. Driver's really falling by the wayside, but Ryan Ottens has got a second lead now from Tristan Dinnebrega. Luke Lucchese still third. There's a car off at the edge of the circuit. That's Owen Seward. He's coming back on. Wow, cars off everywhere. James Bostock fighting with Dennis Collar. Joe Shapara now leads in the Premier class. Martin Kenyon is still ahead of Archie Craven in the Evo class. Flipping heck. I don't know where to look.
This is, I suppose, so difficult just to pick and choose who to watch at this moment in time, as James Bostock does then have to concede his position in behind Dennis Collar. Dennis, what a drive, what a race it's been from him. He's been up and down like a yo-yo, but for now he seems to be comfortably in the podium places.
Yeah, doing really, really well. But these guys now on tiptoes everywhere they go. Jonathan Provost, let's not forget, was on the wets earlier than everybody else before, but could have easily shredded them on a dry surface and will not have anywhere near the sort of water dissipation of the other cars. He's now wedged between two Lamborghinis. Martin Kenyon can't really afford to hang around here, to be honest, because he's got to think about Archie Craven behind him. He's got a good gap over Archie, but he's lost about 3 seconds to him recently. Look at these two side by side into the hairpin in front. That is straight on for Jonathan Provost. See you later. He's going to have to pay to get back in at that rate. As he slides the car on the exit, Martin Kenyon still leaves loads of room to the left to make sure, just in case Jonathan gets the run. Archie Craven's just in the background there. As, race leader's off. Ryan Ottens is wide. And now Dinabrega back down the inside, leaves him room on the outside line, but Ryan Ottens was off the road. Oh, sideways as well out of the final corner. This is really good stuff, this ad. This is, I mean, we love wet weather racing on iRacing just how it looks and the effect that it gives, but look at that from Ottens. Brilliant, twitchy bum time.
Yeah, and this is difficult for Ryan because he's the first driver to come into these areas of the circuit with the wetness, so any mistakes that he makes, Tristan Dinabrega can basically just avoid those areas. Ryan's going to be the first to every area of the circuit, and that is going to be a disadvantage to him. Even though he does have the lead of the race for now, needs to really just hang on for about 14 minutes. The rain is not letting up either. It's only going to be getting stronger as the race wears on. You can see just a bit of a sheen forming over the circuit where all of that rubber has been laid down, where it's all nice and slippy. Ooh, I would not want to be any of these drivers out there because these conditions just look so difficult to keep a handle on.
Yeah, they're all trying different lines so that you can see where the rubber is and see where the cars are sort of dancing around. It's a great view here of the Alpha 1 Esports car of Ryan Ottens really floating its way. You can hear Tristan short shifting the car as well. There's a battle going on here between Hussein Sarakadesla and Jonathan Provost. Behind them is Martin Kenyon yet again. Look at the amount of spray there. Really thick rooster tails coming from the cars now. A lot of moisture being kicked up in the air. Sarakadesla takes the wider line round the hairpin. He's going to get the run on the exit as well over Jonathan Provost. Great stuff that is by Sarakadesla. Provost concedes and sits behind him. But the lead battle's still on, and Ryan Ottens is now holding on to this lead. He's not having to defend too much here, but he's all over the curbs, he's all over everything, and he's floating sideways. But this again shows you how far iRacing has come. Go back a few years and in the dry, if the car broke away from you at all, you were dead. And now, you know, the cars behave and float around so much more. They're savable, they're so much more alive. It's great to see it, really great to see it, especially with the combination of how good this wet weather looks and feels as Dinabrega's gone deep, but uses the grip on that wet line to throw the car back in. Clever stuff.
Very, very nice. Very, very tasty indeed. Dinabrega, Luke Lucchese, just trying to catch up with Ryan, but at the moment Ryan looks to be pretty comfortable out there, doesn't he? He's been able to get the lead from the RDSA man. Leads the championship, but now it's just about... Oh, look how deep Dinabrega goes into the corner. That's surely going to lose him a lot of time as well.
I think he's got to try it at this point. He's just got to try and unsettle Ryan however he can. Go back to this again as Sarakadesla all over the curbs. Provost gets a run on him. Flipping heck. Kenyon's not going to want to sit behind this because he's losing time to Archie Craven. The gap was nearly 10 seconds earlier. It's now 6.3. Christopher Radloff has had an issue. Where on earth is he? There he is. He's got going again. I think he's had a spin on the exit of the hairpin. He's now actually got Joe Glass in front of him. Joe gains that position. But yeah, Martin Kenyon not really in a position to wait around here behind the Suma GP2 Lamborghini. Sarakadesła's car is now to his left-hand side into the hairpin. Can Sarakadesła get the run on the exit? I think Kenyon's got that quite well sorted there. Still leaves him loads of room. Respectful stuff. You can't take any risks though, can you? Because if you have to suddenly dive out of the way, these are the worst conditions for it because you can just over-rotate the car so much more easily.
Yeah, just quite easily done. Oh, every time they go into these braking zones, Chaz, I keep thinking they're going to just plough straight forward. It's just so difficult. And you can see
Sparrow's off.
Joe Sparrow's off into the barrier. Ooh, that was a big impact as well. He didn't come in at a slow speed. He was really barreling forwards. Just the car refusing to stop. Maybe just hunting for any of the grip. Ooh, already out of shape.
Whoa. What?
As soon as he gets on the brakes,
yeah,
really seemed to lock aquaplaning.
Just turned right. That's crazy. It just went completely right. It's like he overheats the tyres a little bit on the rear by doing that. It sort of sets them off, and then it just goes, nope, you know what? Wow.
It does seem like the rear's just locked on him. I don't know, maybe if that's the case, just the extra heat into them. Maybe also needing to shift the bias forward in the rain, potentially, compared to how you have the bias set during the dryers. Oh, this is...
This is great.
This is brilliant
from
stuff.
From up here, it's meant.
It's so scary as a driver just to see all of this unfold, because you know that, well, you can have a nice clean time of things. If someone around you has a mistake, you can easily get taken out through no fault of your own.
Yeah, definitely. All it takes is one simple mistake from a driver behind you to cut across a corner, or even somebody spinning in front of you, you know. You can have somebody lock up on the brakes and just plough into the back of your car, take you out sideways, all sorts. But we see each of them finding their own way around. That's Nick Stubb just diving out of the way of these guys. Good stuff from the Glass Tech driver, moving out of the way for his teammate and I believe team boss, Joe Glass, as Joe's had an unfortunate run out of that right-hander, and that's Christopher Radloff wanting to put his nose down the inside, and he's got his nose down the inside. However, they both have to tiptoe their way into the arena. Neither of them wanting to give an inch, but neither of them wanting to take any away, as Radloff on that wet line, really wiggling the car through there, manages some sort of weird cutback. Archie Craven's off again, apparently. It's not behaving itself round there. Now Gareth Newton's off the road. Nobody wants to finish this race. Rob Mackay has got company in the form of Bruno Silva. Bruno all over the back of him in the Gulf Porsche. Rob Mackay having to just put the car in the middle of the road. He's trying to defend what he can. Kenyon's off. Martin Kenyon from the lead of the Evo class. Luckily, gravel traps in iRacing do nothing, so he manages to get back going again. But you can see that did not look comfortable, did it?
No, it didn't. That was scary stuff. Have a look on board with Martin in this area. So this area of the circuit that's catching all the drivers out. Onto the brakes again. It's just the rears that seem to go.
Yeah.
Needs to maybe just have a little bit of a shift of the brake bias, but the drivers are really getting caught out there, or maybe just braking potentially on a different part of the circuit, because there seems to be a lot of standing water catching out every single driver that goes through here. Luke Lucchese, who maybe sensed something here, his teammate Dina Brega certainly hasn't been comfortable in these conditions, but Luke with a massive bit of opposite lock, just trying to keep the car pointing the right way. And the different lines being taken as well. Luke going for a much tighter inside line just to avoid that curb on the exit. It does benefit him a lot on the way out of the corner. Ooh, nearly threatened to swap ends. You could see it there as they got onto braking. It's
like the car saying, I'll do it.
I'm gonna do it.
Yeah. The car's saying, I will do it, don't push me. But still, the drivers are pushing it. They have to. They have to try and get every inch of pace out of these things that they can. There's a few great battles still going on, though. A few duos around the circuit. Radloff chasing Glass, Lucchese chasing Dina Brega. These two ding-donging. This is Bruno Silva around the outside of Rob Mackay. Rob's gone a little bit hot into there. Bruno's going to cut back on him. They remain pretty much even on the exit as well. That's fantastic. Absolutely brilliant stuff as the two of them remain side by side now. Trails hanging off the back of the car. You can see there was a little bit less water coming off Rob's car than there was on Bruno's, just because of where they were on the circuit. Again, that's iRacing's dynamic data of where the water sits on the track. The fact that it increases with speed and you get splashes of it when they go through puddles and all sorts. It's just so well done. These guys now floating their way around the curbs as Hussein Saraka Desler is off the road in the Lamborghini. He now recovers. That's into the arena, and that looks like it's been a big old crash. That Owen Seward is now off as well. Yeah, this is going to be a big hit, this, Ed.
Have a look. We're anticipating one of them. Just onto the curb. No grip whatsoever.
Oh,
lot of speed. Big impact into the barrier. Thankfully, it was the softer tyre barriers. Ooh, that's Owen Seward. That's out of turn one, isn't it? In towards the barriers there. There's Luke Lucchese.
He's done it.
He's done it.
Luke Lucchese up into second place now with just under 6 minutes left on the clock here in round 16 of the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship. It's all go and it's all crazy in the rain, but it's massive entertainment for us here at Chaz Draycott Media, and we hope all of you watching along at home as well. Thank you for watching so far, everybody. Do stick with us. Car off the road is Ian Cable. Sounds like there's another car off. That is Marcel Breitenbach in the Audi. He's actually gained 12 places in this race as Marcel. Considering the amount of spins he's had, that's a miracle, really. But His persistence has been fantastic. You have to give him that. Same with John Breitenbach as well, actually. He's up to 14th position. Now, he's dropped 7 from where he started, but bearing in mind the two of them were last on lap 1. They've both done really well to get back to where they are. Stephen Donnelly still leads in the Premier class ahead of his teammate Joe Shapara, just behind him there after Joe's issue earlier. The car still wants to break away. It's not having any of it. And then Martin Kenyon still leading the way in the Evo class, but still anybody's, I reckon, Ed. This could very quickly turn one way or another.
Yeah, you can't predict anything because all it takes is from one little slip up from drivers out in front. You find yourself just plummeting backwards. At the moment, it looked comfortable for Ryan Ottens and Martin Kenyon, but Stephen Donnelly and Joe Shapara, while they are teammates leading in the Premier class, back on the form that we saw them have for much of the first half of the season. Well, it takes us for little missteps and can easily get undone. Like this little mistake by Rob Mackay. Gets it back up and rolling now, though. Does lose out to Ati Nagel.
Ryan
Thankfully,
Ottens.
no damage.
No, indeed. Ryan Otten's going really well at the front of the field. Oh, has to get out of that, though, to avoid the boss man, James Bostock. But Ryan really prevailing well in these wet conditions, managing it beautifully at the moment. Doing everything right. He's opened up a 5.4 second lead over the RDSA guys, and he's still being brave, you know, still going over those curbs. You can see it understeering like mad through there, though. It really is floating around. He's still dancing on a knife edge, though, isn't he, with those curbs? He's touching them here and there. That could so easily spike the revs and put the car on the wall, but he who dares wins, they say.
Yeah, it's just about being brave, and that's all you can do in the wet conditions. You'll hunt for the grip. Takes him on unorthodox lines.
Oh my god.
How did Ryan keep that going?
I nearly fell out of my chair. Oh my god, that was, yeah. But that's the
I
thing.
have no doubt Ryan was feeling that moment, but
I
from the comms box, because we're feeling it.
I nearly fell out of my chair. I think his chair nearly fell into him. Flipping heck. That was sketchy. But you could see it just there. Ati Nagel just kissed that curb on the inside. There was a huge splash as all the water gets kicked up. Just the fact that iRacing renders all this is just really, really cool. But it gives drivers the information. It gives drivers the knowledge, you know, so they can see how the circuit is behaving, where the water is, and what they can do about it. Rain still coming down. It has not let off at all. It's a little bit brighter at certain points. There's a break in the clouds over there, but the drivers are not getting away with this at all. Look, a little bit of sunshine comes out. Look at them sticking to the inside line. It seems so unorthodox. Then they understeer across the rubber, then back onto the wet line. Wow. That's Bruno Silva, who is currently 4th in class. You can see the sunshine there really glowing against the circuit, but just nothing can be done about the fact that there is no grip on this circuit at all. Ati Nagel under pressure as well now from Rob Mackay after his earlier incident.
Here we go. Rob Mackay looking a little bit at the inside of Ati Nagel. No space being found for the moment. Good drive out of the corner though. Sees him get a slight overlap. Breaking on the inside, the pair of them. Just trying to find the grip. Staying away from the slippery sort of traditional dry line where all of that rubber's been put down. Oh, I wouldn't want to be out there though, Rob. Over on the curb. That car does not look comfortable whatsoever. Just having a look at the Evo class. Martin Kenyon is actually building his gap to Archie Craven. Rob Mackay, though, committing now onto the brakes on the inside. Just doesn't quite have the speed, but look at how deep Ati Nagel has gone, and that gives Rob Mackay all of the time and space he needs to get back up into 5th place.
Good stuff that by Rob. Very controlled, cool, calm, collected. You can see a bit of a dry line forming there. Well, maybe not there, as Paul Cowlishaw arrives on the scene backwards. In the Lambo, he's got time to get it going and spin it around. Oh, maybe not like that, Paul. Oh, I think he was hoping that it'd spin on its axis a little bit quicker than that there. I was going to say Martin Kenyon still leading in the Evo class right now. He's got 12 seconds over Archie Craven, and he's holding on to this car very well up to now. Just not pushing too hard. He's not overdoing it. We've got Ryan Ottens still leading the way in Elite. with just 30 seconds left on the clock. The white flag is being waved by Barney, so just 1 lap to go for these drivers. Stephen Donnelly's done a great job tonight at the front of the Premier class. His teammate Joe Spara, championship leader, will pretty much put one hand on the trophy here tonight, Ed, to take the Premier class championship. It's not been an easy ride for him. It's not been an easy ride for this man either, because we're going to have a race winner in the form of Ryan Ottens, it seems. And what a great drive this has been for Ryan, having to overtake the RDSA cars on the circuit. He played the strategy to perfection earlier, jumped ahead of them, and to win round 16 in fantastic fashion, it's Ryan Ottens of Alpha One Esports. He takes the checkered flag here at the Hockenheim ring. Very well done to him. Luke Lucchese is second. Tristan Dinabrega is going to complete the top 3. And then we have to wait a little bit, though, for a 1-2 finish by the look of it, Ed, for JSD in the Premier class once again.
Wonderful stuff as the 2 JSD teammates having a look at the massive twitch there from Joe Spara, just about keeping it on the straight and narrow. Stephen just needs to hang on for a couple more corners and he'll be able to take the victory, but it doesn't look comfortable out there. You can see that his teammate Joe is trying everything to just throw off Stephen, but it is going to be Stephen that will take the victory in the Premier class ahead of his teammate, making it a JSD 1-2. Jonathan Provost not far behind either.
Very
Carefully
well done.
does it all the way through, but a wonderful drive there by Jonathan. Did make the gamble, didn't he, for that early pit stop, but it seemed to pay off.
Absolutely. Martin Kenyon takes the win in the Evo class as well. Another well-measured performance by him. Archie Craven, with that mistake earlier, will really be kicking himself for that one. But again, more big championship points for him in second place. These two really the class of the field in the Evo class right now. And yet again, this is going to be 4 podiums in a row for Dennis Collar. We've seen him off the road and spinning and all sorts tonight. But again, Dennis is going to prevail here and get another podium. I don't know how he keeps doing this, but fair play to him, because his persistence and his determination has been absolutely brilliant. One of my drivers of the race, I think, Dennis Collar. Fantastic.
Really came back, didn't he, from that early phase of the race where he dropped down. But now, Dennis Collar, wonderful podium for him, but what a race that was. The weather on iRacing continues to deliver, doesn't it, Chaz?
Oh, absolutely. The transition period of it, the way that it all works with the tyres and the way that even the way it's rendered, the way it looks, it adds to the drama in a visual aspect, but also in the way that the cars all behave. It's just amazing. Absolutely amazing. We have the race results come through, so we'll have a look at those. As you can see, a very wet Hockenheim ring just behind us there. Wrong class, Chaz. Let's go for the elite class first, shall we? Ryan Ottens takes the win, 3.8 seconds clear of Luke Lucchese, with Tristan Dinabrega in third position, Luke King in fourth ahead of Christopher Radloff. Joe Glass was sixth ahead of his teammate Matt Hoyland, John Brayton back next up, Paul Cowlishaw and Ian Cable did not complete the race. And it's over to Ed with the Premier class.
Thank you very much, Chaz. And it was Stephen Donnelly just able to hang on to his car ahead of his teammate Joe Spira. A wonderful performance from JSD Racing team sees them rekindle that form to make it a 1-2. Jonathan Provost for Undercover Sim Racing, with that early pit stop, found himself comfortably in third place, over 30 seconds ahead of Bruno Silva. Finished actually just ahead of Rob Mackay. I think we missed that close finish between the pair of them, but Bruno with a wonderful job just ahead of Rob Mackay himself. Had a great little late charge after a mistake earlier. Managed to regain that fifth place ahead of Ati Nagel. Hussein Sarakardesla for Suma GP2 Lamborghini finishing in seventh place, and then we come to drivers a lap down. James Bostock, Marcel Breitenbach, Russell Jakes completing your top 10 with Nick Stowe, Scott Kostrick there in 12th, and Matthew Jones classed as a non-finisher, 29 laps down.
Thank you, Ed. And now over to the Evo class, once again won by Martin Kenyon. Archie Craven nearly 15 seconds back. Dennis Collar nearly 40 seconds back as well. Those top two really the class of the field. The other cars weren't one lap down on the class leaders. They were a lap down on the overall leaders. And it was Gareth Newton and Robin Noel Brown completing the top five. Danny Weir in sixth place ahead of Owen Seward, with Chris Keenan 2 laps down, Graham Matthew 2 laps down, and Jeffrey Darman and Alex Boniface not completing the race. Now, I've learned my lesson this time. I'm going to start the music after the results, so I don't have to moan about it shutting up halfway through. What we're going to do is quickly rewind things to maybe when it's a little bit sunnier earlier in the race. We'll see what the conditions give us here. Oh, would you look at that. Glorious, glorious sunshine. Who have we got to speak to then? Well, tell you what, we may as well speak to our Evo class winner today. An important one for Martin Kenyon. Martin, late on in the championship now, so points are all the more important. You must have been happy with that one after Archie got the lead early on.
Oh, definitely. I don't know what the point situation is right now after that, but I'm just glad to be ahead still.
It looked like hard work in the wet in that Lambo, mate, because I mean, the nature of that car anyway, it doesn't seem like it's really friendly with the wet. What did it feel like?
Like a spinning top.
It doesn't surprise me.
No, it's just short shifting. Right, I'm just not going into first, not using second, just sticking in third basically. And it's still spinning up, so nightmare.
Not easy to manage at all, I imagine, but we have, of course, 2 more races left this season, just 1 more meeting at Portimao. Is that a circuit that you're looking forward to?
I don't know, I've never driven it.
Fair enough.
I don't even know what it looks like, to be fair, so I'll have to put some practice in this week and find out.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's a different one. The elevation changes are unbelievable, but it really does suit GT3 cars quite well. Before we head to Portimao, though, Martin, can you sum up your season for us? Because it's been a hell of a turn of form, and you've really sort of discovered this car and really sort of thrown it amongst the competitors in the Evo class. You must be really pleased with how it's gone.
I think it's more of a testament to how iRacing does the car models and stuff, because each set of cars is completely different to each other. And I don't know what it is, I've just gone into GT3s. This is the first time I've really raced GT3s, and I've just took to them. I mean, I've struggled in some other classes of cars, but I just seem to like these ones.
Well, it's good to see that it's worked out for you, Martin, and obviously we look forward to the final round of the season. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before you go?
Just the commentary team, you and Ed. Everyone in the Evolution Sim Racing for letting me take part, and all the banter we get in the Discord. That's been fun. And just my family at home.
Smashing stuff. Well, great to speak to you as always, Martin. Lovely to see you out there and getting the race victories in. And we'll hopefully speak to you again in a week's time at Portimao. Cheers.
Yeah, cheers.
Well, there we go, Ed. Martin Kenyon taking another victory here, complementing, of course, the car models of iRacing. And it's one thing we talk about all the time, isn't it, that, you know, the cars are all so different underneath. You know, they don't just give it the same data for every machine, even from the Lamborghini to the Audi. You know, they're different kettles of fish, aren't they? Can't hear you, Ed.
Thank you very much. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, it's like so different, isn't it, from one car to the next, especially in the wet. But it did seem that the Lamborghini was a little bit more balanced than the Porsche. It had a lot of instability under the braking, didn't the Porsche? Just the rear end threatening to break away at every single turn under the wet conditions. But it was still very, very exciting to see them all out there. But yeah, Martin Kenyon, very, very accomplished drive.
Absolutely. Got it all nailed in the end. We'll speak to the man that took the earliest gamble on wets, actually. The first driver to go onto them. Ended up getting a podium for his troubles, though. Jonathan, welcome to the commentary box, mate. You must be quite relieved after that, I imagine, because it didn't look great when you first went onto wets.
Nope, it didn't feel like I thought I completely messed it up. It's your only second race in the wet on iRacing, so I was like, I don't know what he's going to do. Let's just see what happens. Worth a gamble.
And I mean, a circuit like this as well, Ed and I were saying during the broadcast, there's so many curbs here and so many painted bits that you need to lean on. It's not a place where you want a wet race, is it?
No, I don't like this circuit at all. not my friend, definitely not. But it's definitely exactly where you want to be is exactly where the wet stuff is, and it's a bit of a clumsy one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's a good way of putting it, actually. It's quite a clumsy circuit in a way. There's so many bits that can catch you out very easily. But, you know, it's good to see you back on the screens again, getting a podium. Going into the final meeting of the season at Portimao. Are you lined up to be racing there again?
Hopefully, yeah. I've missed a few this year, unfortunately. But, yeah, should be on for Portimao, which I'm quite looking forward to. I've not raced it in iRacing before, so I've not bought it yet either, so we'll see how that goes.
Seems to be the theme amongst you lot that you buy it on the night and it'll be fine. But I adopt that myself as well when I get racing, so don't worry about it. Is there anyone you'd like to give a quick shout out to, Jonathan, while we've got you?
Just the Russ and everyone else. Looking forward to next season, and the next season looks really good. Especially looking forward to open setup. So, thanks to them for setting all this up and running it, because it's run really well, and I've really enjoyed the jump in and go league.
Well, it's been great to have you, Jonathan, and thank you very much again for joining us in the commentary box. Hopefully, we'll see you at Portimao.
Thanks a lot. Cheers.
It's been a great addition to have Jonathan back in the championship, isn't it, Ed? It's a shame he's had to miss a few rounds because he's been right up there when it comes to the pace in the Premier class.
He really has been. He's been really onto it, and it's been excellent to see, obviously, going for the different strategies, but it's been just so exciting to see these drivers develop, isn't it, over the course of a season. And fair to say, Jonathan Provost has definitely deserved to receive his flowers after all we've seen of him this season.
Yeah, definitely, and I think after how hard he worked for that one, it was certainly well-deserved indeed, being the one that goes on to wets first. Someone that didn't have such a great time, but he's always up for an interview, is Matt Hoyland. Matt, welcome to the box again, mate. Thank you for being a constant in our commentary box. We do appreciate it. Again, I say to you what I said to Martin, Lamborghini didn't look the most comfortable in the wet, but seems like it can work in certain areas, can't it?
It did really struggle in the wet, yeah. When we got sort of changeable conditions, it wasn't bad, and I think that was probably some of the most productive time for me, time-wise. But as soon as we got to the point where we got like actual standing water starting to form, and it's just not, it hasn't got that agility that you need it to have in that. It does feel like a boat in the rain, but
not in the right way.
No, yeah, in all the wrong ways. It's like trying to turn an ocean liner, but it was sort of hit and miss in the dry as well. Like some of the really more intricate stuff, the stadium, the hairpin, it just lacking that bit of nimbleness where you really want it to be able to sort of spin on its own axis and straighten up and go. I just don't want to do it. It gets very unhappy, and all your traction control lights start flashing at you, and it's all thing. But not really the race I was looking for, but it's just one of them things. Some you win, some you lose.
Absolutely. And what do you make of Hockenheim as a circuit? I've always thought myself that it's not the best circuit to lap on your own, but for racing, it's a great circuit, I think.
I think it provides a real mix. There is some incredibly cruel things placed in there, like the inside curve of turn 1, for example. That is one of the most devious things in the world. But yeah, I'm a big fan of Hockenheim. I mean, I've probably not raced it anywhere near as much as I would have liked to, but it is nice to see it sort of come to a league like this, and it does usually provide good racing. It's just a shame I couldn't sort of mix it with the guys in class, but I did have a few nice little battles with guys out of class, so I still enjoyed it.
And that's the main thing, Matt. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before you go tonight, mate?
Yeah, just as always, DXT and Glasstech, as I do every week. That's the only reason I come here, is just to get airtime for them. Obviously, thanks to you guys. If I don't get the chance to come in here next week, thank you for all your commentary. I'm sure everyone's enjoyed it very much, and we hope to have you back soon.
Our pleasure, Matt. Thank you very much for the kind words, mate. Enjoy the rest of your evening, buddy, and we'll hopefully speak to you at Portimao.
Thank you, guys. Catch you later.
Cheers, mate. Matt Hoyland, ever a gentleman, lovely bloke, and it's great to still get drivers in, even if they've not had the best night of it, because it's good to get a mix of the emotions that go into this, isn't it, Ed?
Yeah, it is. Obviously, a lot of the time the drivers just have to come to us from their own volition, and most of the time drivers that have had a bad race don't often want to come speak to us in the comments box. But it is good to, like you say, get the different experiences from the drivers, both good and bad, and thankfully without any swearing that you get from a lot of drivers who have had a bad race. So it's wonderful to hear that from Matt. But another race under the scorebook, isn't it, for this season? And we do have just one more race to go. Portimao, 2 30-minute races to round out what has been an amazing season.
Yeah, it really has been. It's been a fantastic campaign yet again here in the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship. Another mention for the championship sponsors: Kame, Medius, Keenan Eco Energy, GitGud Racing and AB Designs. Thank you very much for the support. Thank you everyone for the support here of what we do at Chaz Draycott Media. And we look forward to seeing you hopefully in a week's time. It was originally planned as post-race, but we'll have to see about that. We might be live on the night. We'll figure it out and hopefully we'll see you there, everybody. But for now, thanks very much for watching here in the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship, and we'll see you in a week.
Four French drivers at the French Grand Prix trying to win this on the final lap. The three wide again, Guillaume down the inside. Guillaume moves across, they're both in front of Milan and Pouget. Before you know it, we find ourselves here in the very final race of the competition.
And then they see truck racing and they think, this is crazy. You know, these are 5-ton machines, 1,200 horsepower brake.
Oh, look at that switchback. Oh, you can look and a terrific show out.
Back there, go on ball with Ben Gregory now. I love it. 10.5 minutes gone. Senna Lanson tries to go for the race lead.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Do you want to improve at a quicker pace? Check out GitGudRacing.com. I've coached hundreds of drivers from real-life racers to sim enthusiasts who experience rapid improvement after just one session. And while investing in top-notch hardware is great, imagine how much more you can elevate your experience by adding coaching to the mix. My methods are practical, aiming to break down complex concepts into easily digestible bits that are simple to understand. You can find reviews of the sessions I've conducted on the Fiverr link provided in the video description. Let's elevate your racing skills together. Do you want to improve at a quicker pace? Check out the GitGud course. Instead of just understanding concepts, you'll learn how to implement them directly into your driving. What makes it effective is the approach and practical drills. Together, we're gonna focus on breaking down those complex concepts into small digestible bits that are simple to understand. Everything from the course was tested and refined during the years in coaching sessions, so what I ended up with was the ones that I saw were the most effective. Let's elevate your racing skills together.